Hello, I'm Micks Mowers and Merman and welcome to my channel. In this video we're going to be working on the Honda Shanks Kaaz 553 Pro. This is the one that I picked up a little while ago and the gearbox was gone and I attempted to do the clutch on the gearbox. However, the gearbox would not come apart for love nor money. Long story short, my new friend Gabriel, who is my healthy competition over in the next town, he actually had the same sort of mower 553 with half a gearbox. He had the gearbox complete and he also had the long roller. I have the short one, and since then have been able to get the short one off, but it did take some beating with a big hammer. So now I'm in a position where I now have a good, hopefully he says a good gearbox, fingers crossed it is a good gearbox and the drive all works. I have a long roller and a short roller. I have attempted to put them together. So far the long roller has been put back in. And because I did beast the short roller to bits, I had to straighten up the flange on the outside of the roller to make it fit. So that's where we are. I have put loads and loads and loads of copper slip on the splines and what have you, just to make sure that if the drive is no good, then I can then take it apart with relative ease to renew the clutch. Some of you may be saying, why not just renew the clutch now, Mick? Well, Gabriel, my friend, has said it's a good drive, so I do trust him. Gabriel, if it's not, we're gonna have words. No, just joking. So we'll see how we get on. So today's going to be grab the 553 Pro out of the store. It's hidden away in there somewhere. Put it up on the bench, tip it up onto its side, and we're going to try and fit this second-hand gearbox that Gabriel donated half it to me. I got the other half, and we'll try and put it all together. And by the end of the video, we should have a up and running 553 Pro lawnmower, which I think I paid about £60 or £70 from. I did buy another gearbox for it, roller at 70, which is too short. However, that's not the end of the world for me, because that one will go onto the Cobra, which I have further up in the garden as well. So that's got a bad drive. So there you go. That's sort of writes itself off. So at the moment, this little lawnmower stands me at around about £60 or £70. And hopefully, with a bit of jiggery pokery, we can get this lawnmower now up, running, driving, and rotor clutch all working as it should do. That's the idea. If this is your first time I'm watching Micks Mowers and Merman, hit the old subscribe button and whack the old bell. Set notifications to all. That way you'll be told next time I upload another video. So without further ado, let's get down and dirty. Let's try and get this gearbox together, fitted and working. Right, so this is where we are. The gearbox has now been fitted into the long roller. Now this is the one that Gabriel didn't donate. The one that he did donate is over here. And unfortunately, the bearing outside race was still inside. I couldn't get it out. I tried to cut it. I'm nearly there, so I could still have a spare roller for this yet. But after about 2 hours of beating that to death and hitting my hand, I realised that just down here I had the spare roller from the original one anyway. So, but it was a gearbox I was after. I have given it a bit of a shake. There is all inside. This one's gone down lovely. As you can see, it spins with no problems at all on the gearbox, which is nice. This one's now been fully greased up. All new bearings as well, gone on the outside as well. So brand new bearings on both sides. That now should sit on there. Let me just get my little tiny hammer just to seat it. I think that's it. And now the gearbox, I have done a bit of straightening up on here. It gets caught up in a few little places, but not caught up, but it is better. I have sanded down the inside of a roller. I've put some grease on it, and hopefully it will wear itself back in. It was just damaged where I tried to chisel it out this side here. This would not come out at all. It was not going nowhere, but I got there in the end. It did take a little while to do it, but hopefully this gearbox will now fit onto the mower once I put the rod in and all that sort of good stuff, and then we can go from there. So hopefully Gabriel might have saved my bacon. Okay, so mower's now all up on the table. I have just given the shaft a little tiny bit of a lube up as well, just where it needs it, just a bit of grease. And what you want to do is at the end with the fixed bracket, this one. This goes in first, into the long roller first, and then into the short one later. So it's got to go up through. Now this is not going to be easy because it's got bearings already in it. But that's going to be drifted all the way up through the gearbox, and then through this side here. It might pay just to remove the rollers off. These have all been greased up anyway. Remove the rollers off so you can get it up through and up through the roller bearings and what have you without any trouble. So we'll try and drift it first. If not, I'll take the big roller off and run that down and then go from there. So let me try and drift it first. I'll be back to you in 2 ticks. Okay, so I've managed to get the through the first bearing. Bear in mind, what I would highly recommend is that you do actually lube this up and sand this shaft off beforehand. Okay, obviously you don't stand no chance because it is a very, very tight fit. But once that's gone through there, it will then negotiate its way straight through the roller bearings. And now, by rights, yeah, I'm just right up the other end now. So what I'm going to do now is turn it onto its bum. Here it is here, see, it's come all the way through. Like so. Now what I've got to do is just literally we're going to put this roller bearing through, this roller on, through the splines. Now it may pop the bearing back out, okay? If it does, it's no big drama. But now it's got to be pushed down through, and I can then push a bearing back on and press it if need be. Just make sure you use plenty of grease, and also on the ends of the shaft where it goes up against the bearing, you've got 2 washers, one spring washer and one friction washer and one flat washer. The friction washer goes up against the bracket, and the flat roller goes up against the bearing. Just make sure that goes on. Let me get this one drifted on, and then that part of the roller assembly then fitted. And then we can try and look at trying to fit this onto the mower itself. So let me get it drifted on. I'll be back to you in 2 ticks. Okay, so next thing to do is to put this bracket on, and it's going to go. There's a little keyway just in here. See that little keyway just there? Now, if you were pretty good, you'd have kept all your bits to one side. Okay, don't forget your keyway. So sit your keyway in. Make sure it fits in just about right. If it doesn't stay in there and falls out, then just put a little bit of grease on it just to help it. Okay. Once you've got that in place, you can then line it up with the keyway slot on here and just give that a little bit of a tap. Now it may just fall into place, mine probably won't, so a little bit of help is required. But before I do any of that, I've made one vital mistake, and I've got to put my washers on. So now I've got to try and get that back off. It will come. It's only just been drifted on there. Let me grab a pry bar. You can't forget all the necessary bits and pieces. Let's take that keyway out. So the little tiny, remember what I said, there's a little tiny washer to go on here. So make sure they go on. You've got a friction washer and a flat washer. The friction washer doesn't go up against a bearing, it's a flat washer that does. And then the friction washer then goes on top, okay? And then remount your keyway back into place. Now mine's a little bit tight because obviously this axle has taken a bit of a severe beating from me over time to try and get this to sit right. That's just not going to fall out. So a little bit of grease goes on just to hold it in place. It's a bit cack-handed doing it with one hand, but there you go. You're seeing what I'm doing. Well, hopefully you are. I'm not just sitting here talking to myself. Right, that goes in there, and then line that up with your keyway. And mine's a bit of a tap, as I say, because mine's a bit of a beating. And that goes on just like so. And make sure it spins freely, okay? So that's all on now. Brackets are all on. Gearbox is all on. We're good. It all spins. Mine does catch just a touch where my rollers had a bit of a severe beating, but I have put plenty of stuff on there, and I'm guessing it will get better the more that I use it. So that's the idea. So that's how you fit your bracket onto your axle. Okay, and before you go to install your roller, don't forget to put your 13 bolt back on the top of this bracket here. It just holds it all together and nice and plumb. So that's all now fitted. I can now get the lawnmower jacked up, and then we can then start to try and install this roller back up into the lawnmower, hook the gearbox up, and then we should be 3/4 way on the way home. Okay, just had to go and sell a lawnmower, so now I'm back from that, which is cool. We like selling lawnmowers. I've just put the roller in place. It's not actually in where it needs to be, but it's just lined up sort of roughly where it needs to be. And you've got 2 or 3 of these bolts with the sleeves on to go back in. I'm putting copper slip on these before they go back in anyway. They've got a nylon locker as well, but just some copper slip on here just to help running it through the bracket. And all it does, it's going to go through here like that, and then one will go on this side here through this bolt here, and then one on the other side as well. Let me just put a bit of copper slip on here, and I'll come back to you, and then we'll start to mount this roller onto this mower. Okay, so back, got me old copper slip, which smells a bit like Australians' pants. Just put a little bit on there, just on the shaft itself, or the shoulders they call it. Just going to help it just to stay in there and move about. A little bit on the threads, but it won't need a great deal because it has got a nylon locker anyway, okay? So all we're going to do is we're going to lift, put that bolt roughly into place, just keep it level. We're going to lift the roller up into roughly its housing, bring this around. It's a bit fiddly, but once you get one sort of on and lined up, then the rest will sort of follow. So just push that bolt in, just so it holds. It is a bit fiddly. You have to start one off and then go around the other side. So there's one roughly. Let's just lift that up just a touch. It's just getting a bit caught up. I think that has got it. I don't want to snap that thread, that's the thing. I should just push in there, Mickle Mouse. That's where it wants to go, about there. Come on, baby. You're nearly there, I tell you. A little bit of therapy just to help it out. Let's go around, let me just spin the old table around the other way, and we're drifting the other one. And then I'll see you in 2 ticks. Okay, so we're now around the other side. A bit more copper slip, just to go on the shaft. And on this side is your height adjustment side, so don't forget your height adjustment rod as well. That's got to go on. So you get your height adjustment, it's got to go through and round this side here like that. That's how it's got to go, and that then sits into there. We can now just push that back slightly and lift that up. You've got to lift the gearbox at the same time. It's a bit of a jiggery poke. That then goes all the way in like that. That's gone in lovely. Now, if you find that you've actually, you can't fit your rod on like I've just done, that's because your rod's got to go on around the other way. I think. Like that. That sits in there, and that all sits into there. And once you've got it all locked into place, you can then just manipulate it so it all fits. Now, this is a bit tight to be fair. I've got another height adjustment rod here, which possibly came off another machine or this machine. So there may be a difference in roller lengths. I've got 2 here, and one is slightly longer. So that one must have come off of the one that had the wrong roller on it. So let's try that one for size, Mick. Get a bit confused with parts here. Come on, Mr. Gearbox. I don't want to go in there, and I'm making you. So that now goes into there. That now sits into place. That's lush. So now we've got some height control on this gearbox. So that's good. Oh, telephone's ringing. 2 seconds, people. Right, so before I do up these 2 bolts at the back here, what I want to do, I want to now hook up the gearbox cable itself, because if I bring this all the way down now, I can now lower this enough just so I can actually bring the gearbox cable into place. And I've got to thread it down through the back and then onto the gearbox to seat it into place. I could have done that beforehand. In fact, I may even still do that yet. I may even risk it for a biscuit and just try and drop that gearbox down a touch. That way I can then expose the back for the cable. That might be an easier thing to do, Mick. Yeah, let's do that. So let me reposition you and I'll come back. Okay, now I've got the gearbox round this side of the machine, and what I've done is got the cable here to be fitted onto this bracket. Now, it does always pay to remove the drive cable on the handle end. Okay, that way you get a bit more cable to play with. If you leave it connected up the other end, then you're going to struggle to get it in. So what I recommend you do is pull this spring back, hook it through the housing just here. I'll try and show you as I'm doing it. It's not ever easy. I'll do it step by step and get that one into place first. Okay, so that one's now in. So that bracket's now in. You can now bring this back, and then this spring's then going to be compressed. It goes under and then goes into place that way and then sits into there like so. Now you can hook the cable up on the other end, on the handle end, and that will take the tension back up. Okay, with the drive cable now fitted, we might have to adjust that later on, we shall see. I now want to try and slip this this back up. Now, the only bit I've got a bit confused about, not confused, but needs to be a bit wary about, is how my PTO shaft now fits, because I've got obviously different gearboxes that have come on and off. So this is the original one, but this isn't the same as what came off. So I'm hoping that's going to fit into there, which it does. But I'm hoping that this bolt is going to be long enough to fit down into my output shaft, and I can then bolt all this together. That's the general idea. So I'm just going to loosely fit that for now. And then I'm going to run this gearbox up without getting it caught up on anything that it shouldn't be caught up on. And then I'm going to slowly hook up this bolt here, put my height adjustment rod in as well. That's got to go in. Like so. Right, so I'm starting to go now. That's good. I'm going to put a shoulder bolt in, line that cookie up. That's all in place. That's all in place. That's good. I'm going to see how far that rod is on the other side. I've got to put 30mm nuts on the back of these bolts, this side and the other side. And I also have to hook up this little tiny spring which goes on here and up the top. Now, if you remember what I said before in a previous video, if you slacken your height control all the way off, so it goes all the way back, you can then manipulate this spring into place, okay? But it has to be all the way back. Now my gearbox is getting caught up as I rotate that. But you see what I'm trying to do, just hook that spring up and then push it up onto the top. Let me try and get hold of it as we go. Get it, once you get halfway up on the top here, we'll be laughing. You can use a trampoline spring pulling tool. They're brilliant for that. We'll also find hose clamp pliers just as good. Once you get up onto the lip, you can then just lift it up and then push it into place, and it goes on like so. So that's now all done. That's good. That will rotate with the spring on there, so that's good. We're happy with that. Just now need to fit the gearbox onto the PTO shaft. Okay, so the next thing to do, I put the PTO shaft in, that's now gone in, happy with that, and this is the original one that came off the machine, so that seems to be the right distance there. I've now got a bracket which is like this, which now has to go on this little mounting point just here, and just around the back here there's one with a little pin on. That pin's got to come out, like so, and there's a little tiny washer just behind that. Try and grab that quickly. Space is a bit limited behind here, people, and I know I appreciate you can't see, but I can't even see how to take that out. There's that little washer. Here it is. Take the little washer off. Okay, good. And that bracket's very important because it's needed to keep the gearbox stable. So that's got to go onto there, and then that goes onto there, like so. And with that in place, that will now keep the gearbox from on the PTO shaft from separating. So that's actually very important, that is. So I've got to put the pin back on, which is going to be no easy thing. So a little tiny washer on first. There's a pin that goes on the back of that. That goes down to there. That went on easier than I thought it was going to. And then it looks like there's a circlip there. Or a C-clip. There you go, I've got a C-clip here. I don't know if that needs a washer or not. Let's have a look. Can I get a washer behind that, Mick? Don't know if I can. I think that's about as far as it can go. Yeah, there's a possibility I can get it on there. So I'm going to put the C-clip on. So that little C-clip's got to go. Again, sorry for the hands, but I've got to get in there to do it myself. That C-clip's got to go just in there. And it's going to be really tight with a washer. But that might go. So a little tiny trick here for your C-clips, just get it to marry up and get a pair of pliers, get hold of the back of the stud and the C-clip, mind your eyes, and that goes on just like that. So there's a tip for you, Conker. You ain't got to spend half a night mucking about with C-clips. So there you go. So apart from the cowling, the bracket's all on where it should be. Nothing's caught up. That bracket's in there nice and tight out the way. I might just take that off because I don't want that cable being interfered with. Let's see how it's going to pinch there. So yeah, it's going to pinch there. So I've got to take that back off again. And all I want to do is just want to bring that cable around the outside of that bracket. Otherwise it's going to pinch on there, isn't it? I can see that coming a mile off. So it's probably be easy to remove the C-clip and watch it shoot off across the old workshop. And get my hand behind it so it don't ping off. C-clip removal conch. And not to do it. I don't want to just get hold of it and it bounce all over the place. There it goes, it's gone. There it goes. Right, take that off. Take that off. Remove that in there and bring that cable up and out. That's better. Because you don't want that mucking about. And I think my PTO shaft has come out as well. Because I rocked the gearbox backwards. And that's why you've got to have this bracket on there. Because without that bracket on there, that PTO shaft is always going to come out. That's good. Right, let's go again then. Put that one back on. Little C-clip goes on just behind it. Get your pair of pliers. Let's get hold of it. Mind your face. Boom, that's gone on. Push it on with a pair of pliers in case you don't think it's on. I think it is, that's on. Good. So now, the pitot shaft now can't fall out. It's impossible, it cannot come out. I've got full height adjustment on there, which is good. So hopefully, it should be somewhere close. Now, as I say, I'm hoping that this is all going to roll for me. It does feel a bit stiff, but we shall see. It should wear in better as we use it. That's what I'm hoping. But we shall see. I hope I haven't done this for nothing. So springs all on. Just got to put these two 13mm nuts on, which I keep on talking about, which I haven't done nothing with yet. There's one on the back here. One goes on there, which is on this one. And then one goes on the other side. Should have one 13mm nut left, Mick. I haven't got one. That could be one. Don't know. There it is. Right, one the other side. Then we get them fitted, and I'll be back to you in 2 ticks. Okay, so that's now all on. The 13mm bolts have been done up on the back. Happy with that. All I've now got to do is I've got some cowlings to put on. I think there's 3 in total. Yeah, 3. 1, 2, 3. I've got the main one to go inside on the gearbox that goes in there somewhere. And I've got 2 different cowlings here. This will be the height control one. That just sits on there somehow. There's a hole for it there. That goes on there. So, you know, the cowlings you can figure out yourself. That's no drama, right? So just get your cowlings fitted on. I'll put all the handlebars together, all that sort of stuff, and then we can go for a big fire up, big test up. I don't even know if this machine runs anymore. It's been sat for a little while. It does need a new blade. I've got a new blade for it. And I should probably end up doing a new blade and rotor clutch bearing at the same time if the drive is successful. If the drive is not successful, it's all got to come apart all over again. And yeah, I know what you're saying. You should have done it when you had a gearbox apart, Mick. But hey ho, I'm a glutton for punishment. So let me get them fitted on. I'll be back to you in 2 ticks. Okay, it's off the bench. Now there's a bit of grinding going on when I have it on the highest setting, but I did have to put a little tiny metal plate in the back just to got a little bit of a hole there. So it may just be winding about on that, but we shall see. I don't think there's any fuel in it. I've got no idea. It's been in the store for a little while. Yeah, there's a bit of fuel in there. Let's see if the fuel tap's turned on. On fuel. Can't remember now. I think fuel was all the way back. I think. Can't remember. I think it is. So fuel on. Now looking for it to drive and rotor clutch. And the rotor clutch's arms come out of its place, which isn't always handy. Who's handy? That's got to go. That's just where I've had it sat down for a while. Let's just try and fit that rotor clutch lever into position. Oh, come on. That might be about. You know you want to go in that little tiny hole. It's always a way, right, when you try and work on stuff live. It never wants to do what it do. The rotor clutch lever's just popped out of its housing. It should be about there. Oh, I might have to come back to you guys and just get that fitted. It must have been when it's all dropped down. That might have gone. That might have got it. I'm fighting with it. And it wants to go. There it goes. Right, it's gone in. Right. So rotor clutch is now working. So drive, it pushes forward and backwards. Rotor brake, drive in, drives forward and sticks back, which is what you want. So, have we fixed it? And Gabriel, is this gearbox any good? Choke. Pull the cord, see what it do. They've not been started for a while, guys, so you have to give it a little bit of love. Hang on, spark plug cap might be off. Yeah, it is, because I was working on the engine. Safety first, guys. So she's running. Rotor clutch first. Fingers crossed. Drive. Yes. And no juddering. Ah, oh, beautiful. Both together. There's a bit of delay on this rotor clutch, but I can take it up with a bit of cable adjustment. Idles, does everything it should do. This mower originally cost me £70 with a donation from my friend Gabriel. Oh, turn it off. With a donation of half a gearbox from my friend Gabriel. The mower now is all up and running. This has been a bit of a labour of love, this machine. But do you know what? I'm going to keep it because the drive is good. I'm going to use it for my own lawn. My lawn is not a cylinder lawn, but hopefully I can use this and the cylinder at the same time. Or get Mrs. P to use it. Nice and strong drive, but keep her running. Hey, Mrs. P. She's over here in the background, waiting for me to come off the camera to go and pick up Riley. So that's it, guys. All done, finished, done with. So there you have it. One Kaaz 553 Pro, Honda 553 Pro. Now all up and running and doing exactly what it should do. Thank you very much to my very good friend Gabriel for donating me the gearbox. He did assure me the gearbox was good, and it is. And with a few spare parts from him, a few spare parts from me, at completely free of charge. Me and Gabriel don't seem to spend a lot of money with each other. We just trade parts. If I've got it, he can have it. If he's got it, I can have it. And that's just how we work, and it's a fantastic way of doing it. So that's now all up and running. What I've got to do now is I've got a brand new blade to fit on. I've got a rotor clutch bearing to fit as well. Grass bag to just clear up and done. And I think I might even keep that mower myself right up to the point when someone wants it and gives me a good enough price for it. So that machine only cost me about £60–70 in total. I do have a spare gearbox and roller which fits a slightly smaller one, but that will go on to the Cobra, which is further up in the garden. So I can write that one off as free, no problem. I think I paid about £60–70 for that, but as I say, it doesn't go onto this machine. This has cost me nothing. So I've now bought a Kaaz 553 Pro with a Pro roller for £60 or £70, and with some donated parts, I've now managed to get a mower for next to nothing. And also the blade, I ordered one and got two, so that was free as well. So quid's in. So super happy with that. If you like the episode of Micks Mowers and Mower Man, hit the subscribe button, whack the old bell, set notifications to all. That way you'll be told next time I upload another video. I look forward to this episode of Micks Mowers very soon. But until then, people, don't forget, much more importantly, take care easy.